Hey, you guys. So, I have been, hi, my hair's kind of a mess right now. Hi. So, I have been working on some stuff, and I'm going to actually go onto my YouTube channel, like here in a minute, and do some Duggar content and some Sister Wives stuff. But I found something that you might be interested in, and it's in regards to the Shin, the cult that we've been covering. And it's related to a document that was filed in court. So if I'm looking up over here, it's because I have something on my computer screen. I'm just going to read this to you. It's kind of interesting because this is right before Lydia filed for a lawsuit. Lydia Chung filed a lawsuit against Catherine Yee and Robert Shin. Catherine Yee filed for bankruptcy. And Lydia filed a claim against her bankruptcy. And it says in the claim, this is really wild. And another thing I wanted to mention is that, so in the United States, there is a law, the First Amendment, that basically allows churches to practice church the way that they practice church. And because of that, the government agrees that every person has a right to practice their faith in the way that is right for them. And so because of that, the United States government does not like to get involved in disputes that happen inside of the churches. Unfortunately, people that want to scam other people and manipulate and steal will often use the church because they know that the government does not want to get involved and they are protected under the First Amendment. So the government will say, well, you don't have a case because under the First Amendment, you have a right to practice your faith, and under your faith, this is what was being taught, and so therefore you're screwed. So, which sucks, because the only time they generally do get involved is when serious crimes are getting committed. So that's again why undue influence and manipulation is they're unable to actually win these types of cases in court. Now, I want to be clear that I was reading the documents for Lydia's case in court for her bankruptcy and for Catherine Yee's bankruptcy. And the church doesn't deny that they had the money, that they got access to the money. They only argue that First Amendment, like, you agreed to do this, this is your problem, not mine. But, and they said that she failed to state a claim because of that. But this is what she wrote in a sworn cite complaint that was filed in federal district court in California. It says, starting in the year 2000 and through the present, Shin and Yee used scripture to convince Chung, hold on a second, to convince Chung and other Shekinah church members to open up and be honest to God by revealing and giving access to their financial and personal information, including bank accounts, email addresses, and passwords. Every congregation member, including Chung, was instructed to give his or her online banking username and password to Yee so that she could monitor and filter finances under the doctrines of be honest and holy to God. Free money, be free from money, and passing the testing money of God. So be free from money and passing money test of greed. Yee also told the congregation, including Chung, that she could teach the members of how to manage money and show how to come out of debt. Later, Yee used this information to transfer monies from the plaintiff's bank accounts to whoever she wished, including Yee's own accounts. All the members, including Chung, were taught by Shin and Yee to be obedient and work hard under a need-to-know basis. So remember I said yesterday that the biggest thing here was that he said faith is not thinking, it's doing. So that kind of matches the need-to-know basis. Okay, so nobody was allowed to ask anything about finances. All the members, including Chung, were taught not to be doubtful of any Shekinah church activities because doubt comes from evil. According to Shin and Yee, the more financial and personal information was revealed, the more open and honest the members were with God. Shekinah members were told that the more money they gave and the more that they would receive from God. Shin even set up a club called the Millionaires Club, and to be a member of this club, a person must be fully committed financially and donate as much as they can. In the year 2000, Shin began referring to himself as the man of God. So remember how I told you, someone told me that they call him the man of God? That's in this court filing, so that's verified. I like it when information that I'm provided by my sources is actually verified by court records. It says that while Yi began to referring to herself as the woman of God, the congregation was also told to cut all ties with family and friends, and Shin and Yi placed male and female members in 2 houses separated by sex and told them other members would become their new family. So isolating them, placing them in homes, separated by sex, and that anyone that joined the church that was new would become new family. Chung relied on Shin and Yi's advice and representation and did in fact cut all ties with her family and friends. During this time, Yi was also assigned by Shin and Chung as Chung's mentor. In or about February 2003, Shin and Yi developed a reporting system where members were told and encouraged to watch each other's communications and actions and report them through emails and during mentorship time with Shin and Yi. So then he's telling them to spy on each other. This is a tactic that is used in Scientology. Scientology does this with auditing. So if somebody gets in trouble, a friend will say to the leaders, like, oh, this person's acting out. And then that leader will be like, all right, this person needs to come and get audited and confess for what they've done. And then we will tell them what next steps to do. This is also akin to what they do in the IBLP, where they're supposed to like hold one another accountable. And, it's like all these churches do the same thing. You're supposed to give everything to them. So they said in 2006, Yi installed an internet monitoring system in every congregation member's computer so that she could monitor their entire internet activity. The screensaver of Chung's computer would show text of "log me in" whenever Chung's computer was on. Shin and Yi was told such reporting system was developed for the congregation members, including Chung's own good and to track their personal development. So they're spying on them and their computers, apparently, according to this complaint. It says, in or about 2004, Shin and Yi developed a system where every Shekinah member could not drive his or her car. So remember how Isaiah said that she had her own car? That's kind of eerie. Including Chung, who had to borrow another church member's car for travel. This was done to discourage members from leaving Shekinah Church. Defendants also tracked all cell phone calls made by Shekinah Church members, including Chung's calls. Chung gradually began transferring substantial sums to Shin and Yi at their request and insistence via the false representation and undue influence and control tactics. They transferred monies and properties worth at least $5 million, including her former residence located in La Habra, California. So then she goes into detail about how they basically transfer all of these different monies. He, at some point, she alleges, convinces him that she needs to buy cars for him because pastors need to drive luxury cars. So it says that luxury cars Chung purchased for Shin and Yi under false claims were that the man of God must have a good car and they would serve the Shekinah Church, including a 2001 Lexus that Yi bought for him for $40,000 and a 2001 Mercedes-Benz, which she purchased for $52,000. So this was in she filed this in 2011. They also purchased jewelry, personal property, homes, multiple homes. And then she says this. In or about July of 2008, Shin asked Chung to give him a massage in an improper place. It was at this point that Chung realized that she was being used for improper purposes and that she had been subject to Shin and Yi's undue influence and mind control tactics referenced above. I told you how these like guys it'll start with control, and then the sex always becomes a part of it, allegedly. So he asks her for a massage in an improper place, and that's what her wake-up call was, apparently. They say that Shekinah Church was incorporated in California, and that the Secretary of State suspended them on 2007, and then on 2008 the Franchise Tax Board suspended the church as well. On November 2009, both of them revived the church's status back to active, and during this time they accepted donations from some or all members, with checks coming from Chung. So she eventually files this claim, and I think it ends up being $3.8 million against Catherine Yee's account and estate, and for the bankruptcy. And before this actually goes to trial, and before they even respond, her trustee, who was running the bankruptcy, decided with Chung to settle versus going through the litigation of this process. So she agreed to reduce the amount, and then they agreed to a number, and she was basically paid $28,000. Their argument that it was dismissed under the First Amendment, and that, she did all of these things under her free will. They said that she did not have any facts of the case. And then they said that because she was told that if she donated that God would give her her destiny, they argued that it wasn't their influence, it was because she believed that. So they're using how they tell people, if you do this, God will give you more favor. And then they said, well, she believed it. It's horrible how they can get away with this stuff. It's horrible. They said that they were a stop from embezzlement, from larceny. I'm actually really surprised this didn't end up in a criminal investigation. I will be going onto my YouTube channel. I'm just coming over here. So, hey Lauren, I just was doing this right now. I'm going to go on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to actually be working on some content. I don't want to, so there's been a lot of allegations that there were threats used by this group. And so at this point in time, I'm just not going to say who or what I'm going to be reaching out to, or who or what I'm going to be speaking to, because I don't want anyone to be fearful for their lives in the event that there are credible threats. So I just want to respect people's safety in this situation, because we really don't know who we're working with. But the document was filed in 2011, and they agreed to settle. But it does concern me, because in the court records, she says that they were accessing her computer, they had access to her bank accounts, they were, spying on them, spying on their cars, not allowing them to have cars. And, it's really weird because, you can actually search records for people, and you can see if they have a car attached to them. So most background checks, if you do a check on someone and say you wanted to look up Miranda, if she had a car that was in her name, there would be a record of it in the state of California. So Isaiah insists that Miranda and James have cars, right? But when I was doing a search for them, I didn't see that either one of them had a car in their name. I didn't, and Miranda, when I do a search for her, she is under Wilking. She is not under Miranda Derrick. So if you search Miranda Derrick, there's nothing in that name, meaning that there might not be any legal records with her name in Miranda Derrick. And when I pull up her records, there's not a car in her name. There's no car or assets connected to her. There's no home connected to her. There's not even a current address connected to her. The last address that's on here is from the condo that her dad owns in LA and her parents' house in Michigan. And she's not, usually when you have a relationship and you're married to someone, your husband will show up in your background report as your husband, nothing. So I don't know the legalities of what's going on here. And when I look up James, and I actually can only find James through his dad, whose name is Austin. I don't believe there was a car in James's name either. So is she using a... Yes, I actually talked to Heather McDonald earlier in my DMs last week, within the last couple days. So I am aware that she has spoke about me. So there's nothing in, I think he's in Compton. Yeah, I haven't been able to find proof of a marriage either. Well, if it's a lease, it's one thing, but then again, if you're saying it's a lease through the church, that just further proves that the car is connected to the church, right? Okay. It's weird. When I look up James, it says he's 99 years old. Do you think James is 99 years old? Whoops. I'm trying to do both of this at the same time. But what I was told by my I'm sorry, he's 93 years old according to this. But it's him. No car. No address. So if they don't have a car and they don't have an address and the car is not in their name, and even if it was a lease, the car would still be registered in that person's name with the DMV so that you can drive it. So that when you're pulled over, they can pull up the lease or they can pull up the VIN and they can see that you're registered to that car. Every driver has to be registered to a car that they drive. And then they're responsible for the tabs and the registrations annually. So whether it's a lease or whether it's an ownership, there's no car in Miranda's name. And her name legally is still Derrick. So Lydia Chung's argument is that they had to use cars by the church. Yes, the church could lease it. Yes. But again, if the church is leasing it, it's not her car. I guess that's my point in saying that. Like, even if the church is leasing it, Twinkle Toes, thank you for that comment. Even if that's the case, she would still not own that car then. It's the lease through the church. And some of them do own cars. His wife, I was told, is driving a Mercedes 500, 2022. Isaiah drives or not a Mercedes, a BMW 500 series. Hannah does, Robert's wife, and then Isaiah drives a BMW 300 series. So they're driving expensive cars, and mind you, a 300 BMW is the lowest level of a BMW, so it's not like a super luxury car. It's like the base of the BMW models, but it's still going to be more expensive than your average car. I'm sorry, I meant Wilking. If I misspeak, I apologize. I am trying to sort through a lot of information, and again, I do apologize. It's hard to keep track of everything. Sometimes I misspeak. I hope you can extend me a sense of grace here. Sometimes I make mistakes. I'm a human. Okay, so that's what I have for now, but I'm going to get on to my YouTube channel. I don't know if I'll get to anything related to the cult over on my YouTube channel, but I'm doing the best I can. Hopefully going to be getting some help here. And I have a meeting later today to get some more details about how moving forward we're going to do this. And again, if someone wants to watch the Miranda live and save it and send it to me, that's great. If not, I'm not going to spend a ton of time listening to her lives at this point, because while she's under the influence of the shins, I don't trust a word she says. Everything that she says will be lies to protect the shins. So if you guys want to watch and send a recorded copy to me, that would be great. But again, I'm not going to focus too much on what they're saying unless it's like Isaiah or Chloe. If it's a shin that says it, that means more to me than if it's one of the people in the group. Okay. Thank you, Mackenzie Marie. Yes, the shins will lie too, but what the shins are saying will tell you more about what is being said to the dancers. So when you see what the dancers are saying, they're just going to be parroting and regurgitating what the shins are telling them. When the shins say something, then you can know what they're lying to about the dancers. Does that make sense? It's more important to me what the shins say than it's what the dancers say. Because the dancers are going to say that they're not in a cult. They're going to say that they're not being held against their will. They're going to say that they're doing great. They love their life. They're not going to say anything concerning unless, it's like, help me, but they're not going to go on live. And if what Lydia is saying is true, that they are monitoring their social media and controlling their computers, do you think that we can truly trust anything that they put out online at this point? It's all going to be done to serve the shins. Yes, they are giving us a window into what they are saying to influence and brainwash the dancers. No, it's actually not, because when I look it up, it is James, and it's all his social media accounts. So the age, for some reason, is just wrong, but it's still James. I verified it. Sometimes these these background checks just don't, they have the wrong birth dates and they'll get 2 accounts flipped up. But what I look at are the accounts that are listed to him, places that he's lived, yes. Is it social media accounts that are connected to him? Yes. And then are there verified records that I can tie back to it? Yes. So the background check is a place where I just start to look, and then you can't just rely on what's on the background check. All right, I gotta go. I gotta get to work. How can they even get out if every second of their day in communication with others are monitored? Exactly. Bye, guys. They can't.